Hi everyone, this is the Heroes podcast, and my next guest is Howard Brown. How are you, Howard?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Andre. It's great to be here on your podcast.
Well, I would love to introduce you with, of course, the book Shining Brightly. And I know you have some amazing stories to share that I have not been able to even conceive at the time when you told me first time, but I think this is the time to really shine. And tell us, how did this come about? Shining Brightly from Howard Brown. How did this happen?
So the book is now published. It's available online on the Amazons and Barnes and Nobles of the world. And it's been a 3-year effort. I am not a good writer, so it took me 3 years. Over a Zoom podcast, I interviewed the most important, influential people, mentors, doctors, camp counselors, friends, family, and put those to draft. And those drafts then became chapters. The chapters became a manuscript. And then voila, 3 years later, me and my publisher have a book that we're very proud of. This is a memoir of my entire life. We start back in the old country, back in Lithuania, with my great grandmother. Bertha came to the US, and it was a very difficult journey for her to come. And the lessons that we learned, each chapter has really important lessons about how to leading a life of goodness and positive change, and overcoming obstacles and resilience, and leading a hopeful life and helping others. So it fits right in with your podcast perfectly. And I'll get into it later, but I've had 2 major health episodes in my life. Once at age 23, I had cancer, stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And then at age 50 through now, I've had stage 4 colorectal cancer, colon cancer specifically. So I've had to get back up again, and lots of people have helped me. And the lesson that's come true is that we've got to help others, and we'll get deep into it.
Wow. I mean, this really touches my heart. I lost my dad he had non-Hodgkin lymphoma. How did you come through this? Because you're still here with us and
Yeah.
telling your story, and it looks like some people seem to get lucky. Some people seem to learn about themselves. It looks like to me it's sometimes to do with them as well as their health, where I'm always looking at people holistically. Like, what was your experience? How did you heal at age 23? There must have been traumatic experience.
So I was just starting my career. I was going great, and I was healthy and 23 and a half years old. I moved home to Boston, the suburbs, back with my mom and dad, because the best hospitals were there. I was diagnosed with stage 4 T-cell lymphoma. The prognosis was horrible. They didn't know if they could help me. They blast you with chemotherapy. I kept failing chemotherapies. And I got one piece of good news, that my twin sister was an exact match, 100% match for a bone marrow transplant. But I had to get into some sort of remission first. And I went through that bone marrow transplant May 24th, 1990. So 32 and a half years ago. And her bone marrow saved my life. I got so much chemo and so much full body radiation that it was really a difficult time for me. And but the savior was my twin sister's bone marrow. It became my immune system, and it beat the malignancy back. And I did a clinical trial after that. But then I had to rebuild Humpty Dumpty from the nursery rhyme. I had to rebuild myself at age 24 and 25. Again, my confidence, my emotional well-being, my physical well-being, my financial state, and in relationships. So I had to do that as a young man. And I did that by moving out to California. I
But
needed sunshine and waves.
so there was help, or did you kind of did it yourself? Did you search for courses or event? How did you do it?
Well, so this is 1989 and 1990. So we didn't have the internet. We didn't have cell phones then. So we went to the library and looked up a book on cancer and a book on lymphoma. So we were really living in an analog time with landlines. And we didn't even have the AOL busy signal yet. So I actually, my local friends, I grew up outside of Boston. I went to college at Babson College, the #1 school for entrepreneurship in the world. And I had friends around me. So my friends helped me, but the biggest people that help me are your caregivers. So they're the angels on earth. So my parents first, my twin sister who saved my life, but also was a caregiver, and the nurses and the doctors, at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. When I moved to California, I didn't know many people, but that was okay because I was going to the gymnasium, I was walking on the beach, I was meeting new people, and I was getting back into work and building my confidence back up, building my mental toughness back up. And so, it's kind of a team sport, is getting back up again. Fighting cancer is a team sport. Life's a team sport. It's better to do it with others. And so I was doing that. And that's how I got back together. And by going to California, I met my wife. I mean, who would have thought? So I heal from cancer. I'm in remission, and I meet my wife in Los Angeles. So that's the first part of the story. But the big miracle is my twin sister. Her bone marrow saved my life, or else I wouldn't be here, for sure.
So what was the main 5 things? I'm just thinking of the audience who's coming across people with cancer. Like, what was the main 5 things for you specifically to overcome and really a comeback? You mentioned the team, which I believe is always a must to have, but tell us maybe the top 5 things.
So it's sort of like a mantra, but in the cancer world, we say KFG, keep effing going, because you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. So I will tell you the top 5 things for me. One is that I allowed myself to be angry, be upset, be depressed, but for very short periods of time. So you have to allow yourself a chance to breathe and take it in, because it was dark and it was all bad news. Second thing is that you need to build your mental toughness, and you have to kind of fight. At first I was a deer in the headlights, but you become a soldier. You're on a mission and you have to give it your best. So that's the second thing, is you build your mental toughness. Physically, I dwindled down to nothing. I lost all this weight. I was very weak. The chemotherapy is really a poison. The radiation just blasts you. So I had to work on it. I had to start small, walking, and then running, and then lifting a little weights, and then hiking, and then biking, and now the basketball court. So it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it takes real work. The second is that I had to rebuild my confidence. I was taken to my core emotionally, and I had to rebuild it. And so small wins, right? Small wins, the next scan, a victory in doing something really good, in a good deed, or doing some kindness, or also a win at work, right? Securing a sales deal. So all of that is, you got to just be grateful for some small wins, and the bigger wins will come. And then the other piece is that you've got to go lift up others, right? So you lift yourself, and then you lift up others. And so I got involved in becoming a big brother mentor. I was doing some charity work and raising funds for good causes. And by helping others, I made new friends. I learned new things, and I was doing good. And that's what we're here to do, is to really shine our light in the world. And if we do that, not individually, but as a together, I call this being a force multiplier for good. And so those are the 5 things that I would say that the lessons that I learned as a young man coming out of Cancer One.
Very powerful. I mean, what I'm hearing from you, probably by doing good things start to come back to you. Maybe there has been, those kind of tiny hubs that made all the difference at times. Few contacts and new relationships that has again helped you on your journey. So what was the next thing after that? You mentioned there was something else with your sister, or?
No. So the first miracle was my sister and the bone marrow transplant. And you said something before. Listen, I was blessed, I was grateful, but I was lucky, right? It's like hitting the lotto, because my sister was a 1 in 25,000 chance of being a match. And that match, if you take someone's organ, like a liver or bone marrow, which is really blood from you put that in someone else's body, the chance of rejection is very high. the graft versus host could reject it and you could die immediately. So I am very lucky. So the next thing happened is that before I did any chemotherapy, I came in one day to do my first chemotherapy and my liver function was too high. That's lucky, and I didn't realize it then, but my doctor sent me to a cryogenic center. So the cryogenic center happens to be the sperm bank. And I left the sample there. They told me I was going to die, but I was like, why am I doing this? You told me I'm going to die. They said, just do it. You're young. You'll thank me later. Oh my God. 11 years later, after meeting Lisa in California, we wanted to have a baby and we sent for that frozen sperm samples. And we had a beautiful, beautiful baby girl, healthy baby girl, Emily, who's 21 now, just graduated University of Michigan. And oh my God, are we so blessed. Hit the lottery again, right? Frozen sperm after 11 years. And so that was incredible. So karma is either swinging the other way or I'm being very blessed. So I'm very happy about that. So I basically was healthy. I'm back playing basketball. My career is doing great in Silicon Valley and in technology and entrepreneurship. And everything's going great. We have a beautiful baby. I IPO'd a few companies. Things are great. And then my twin sister says, I'm moving to Michigan. My wife is from Michigan. And so we moved to Michigan about 18 years ago, 2005. And we brought the families back together. It's terrific. It was really awesome. My parents could come out from Boston. It's a quick plane flight. And my in-laws are here. My wife has a sister and two stepbrothers. So everybody got to grow up together. We put the family back together here in Michigan. The cost of living's better. It snows here. It's cold some of the time, but it was great. And unfortunately, at age 50, I went in for a physical exam like you're supposed to. And he said, it's time for your colonoscopy. I said, okay. So I scheduled the colonoscopy a few months later. And I wake up after you do the prep, which is yucky. You wake up and the doctor, you say, oh, is everything good? I'll clip a few polyps. You're all good because I'm an athlete. I'm healthy. And he said, no, I found something. And I was shocked. And my wife was shocked. She's holding my hand. And he said, when I find something, it's usually bad. And it was bad. It was stage 3 colon cancer. And within 2 weeks, I did surgery to remove 13 inches of my colon. Within about 6 weeks later, I had a chemo port and I started chemotherapy cycles again. So I'm back doing cancer again at age 50. So it's unbelievable. Now, I didn't have any family history. I didn't have many symptoms, but the amount of chemotherapy, the amount of radiation I got from cancer 1 probably gave me colon cancer is the most likely theory. And it's a good theory. So I had to start chemotherapy again. I did multiple surgeries and I was failing all the surgeries and the chemotherapy, called relapsing. And a year later, in the summer of 2017, I went metastatic. That means that the cancer spread outside of my colon, okay, to vital organs. That's never a good sign. The chances of living are like 4%. And I went to my liver, my stomach lining, and my bowel. So that was horrible. And I got myself with some salvage chemotherapy to this major surgery where they cut me open from chest to bone. And it's like a fish. They cut out all the cancer and they poured hot chemotherapy inside my pelvis and abdomen, shut me back up and rotated me around like a rotisserie chicken. And it's a 13-hour surgery. You wake up in the ICU and it took me over a year to recover. And that surgery right now, which is still fairly controversial, it's kept me what's called no evidence of disease at this time. I've been cancer-free now for about 3 years, and I need to get to 5 years. So I'm still on surveillance, but oh my God, did I hit the lottery again? But I was a different person there. And although a lot of the same themes of what I learned, a little bit different then, a little bit different, right? So I'm now, 56. So 53 is when I had the surgery. I was much more of a Marine on a mission. I had cancer before, but it's in the digital age. I told everyone I had cancer. Some people like to keep it private. I respect it. I told all my Facebook friends, LinkedIn, everybody knows I had cancer. They sent me cheering. They sent me memes. They sent me books. They sent meals. They sent gift cards. They raised funds to help the medical bills. I made it a team sport like no other. I started to counsel other cancer patients to help lift them up. And I was a dad I didn't know if I was going to see my daughter graduate high school. And not only did I get blessed to see her graduate high school, I saw her graduate college on Sunday. And I've been married for 28 and a half years. It's really amazing. And so I really took it to heart to be able to lift myself up, lift up others, and become this force multiplier. And it's been an amazing experience. So now I'm a published author, bestseller on Amazon in 3 cancer categories. I speak from stage. I motivate, educate, and inspire. And I tell everyone to go get their screenings. Go get your screenings for, could be mammography for breast cancer. It could be prostate cancer. It can be for colon cancer and your colonoscopy. It can be your heart for cardio. I don't care. Go keep, because COVID, everyone got behind in their screenings. And so I tell people that if you go get screened, it can save your life and, quite frankly, not put you through the major hell that I went through surgeries and chemotherapies and failed clinical trials. I don't wish that on anyone. So major lessons learned.
Powerful. And would you, looking back now, you've got a lot of history and story. Would you ever connect cancer or cancer cells to negative emotions? I've seen a lot of studies about it. How do you see it now, looking back? Have you created some of it, or is it just happening to people? Expand on it if you can. I'm really keen to
Okay,
learn.
so because I have the experience of having cancer 30 years apart. I had a blood cancer, lymphoma, like leukemia, and I had a solid tumor cancer, colon cancer. And I can tell you this: the way that cancer forms in your body is that rogue cells form. So I use a bakery example. So Andre, forgive me on this, but it's the simplest way for the audience to understand it. So you start baking brownies. Okay, you use your grandma's recipe, and all of a sudden, the recipe changes. Yeah, you didn't have an ingredient; it changes, and it makes the brownies. Do they taste the same? No. But this is the same thing in cancer cells. Your cancer cells are reduplicating billions a day, and all of a sudden, rogue cells start reduplicating, and your body does not immune system able to control them. Otherwise, it would stamp them right out. Your immune system, your DNA would stamp them right out. It doesn't do that. They keep reduplicating. And that makes tumors, that makes bad cells in the blood system. And unfortunately, there's a couple different ways that you can happen. Family history can make that happen. What you eat, your diet can make that happen. Obesity can make that happen. Smoking can make that happen. In my case, it was none of those. So my case was, I'm pretty sure that the chemotherapy and radiation I took in Cancer 1 stripped away enzymes to keep polyps from growing. And if I would have got a colonoscopy at age 40, we might not have met. I might not have had colon cancer. I might not have written a book. That's just been my journey in life. Now, you ask a very good question. Listen, it's okay to stay in darkness a little bit, to be depressed. The steroids are crazy. The side effects are awful. Listen, I understand that, but what you need to do is ask for help. Ask for help. Get a caregiver. A caregiver can be assigned to you. There's mentor angel programs that you have cancer patients like me, mentoring other cancer patients. There's help out there. And in the digital world, there's more information than ever before in these advocacy groups to help you. So for colon cancer, I'm in one called Colon Town. I'm in a Man Up to Cancer group. They're Facebook groups. They're private. Oh my God, the support and the information help you help yourselves to be collaborative with your oncology teams. They can't make decisions in a vacuum. You have to be collaborative with your care. And the patient voice matters today. So I'm a big advocate, national advocate, and international advocate now. So I use my voice to help others.
And that was my next question. How do you help now your clients or patients? Like, how is your day looking like when you're running your business?
Yes. So right now, I don't want to go back to an office job, right? Or in technology. I want to help people. So the way I do that is that I call it cancer whispering, but we're basically coaching. So I coach patients that are in treatment and that what we call after treatment called survivorship. So I have like lead magnets, survivorship discussion guides from my book, mentorship discussion guides, interfaith. Those are the areas that I focus on that are discussion guides that I can share with your audience. And those discussion guides basically are leading to courses that I'm building, but that's what my practice is: survivorship, how to get back up again. We all get knocked down in life many times over and over, and it can be from health, it can be from addiction, it can be from bad things, like divorce, it can be from trafficking, it can be from a job loss, it can be from relationships. There's so many things that knock you down in this life. How do you get back up again and again and again, even when you don't want to? That's the key. And I help people get back up again.
Powerful. And who do you need to connect with you? Pretty much everyone who are going through cancer, who have had issues with, rehabilitation, like they would all find value in your content and services. Is that right?
Sure. I mean, I do specialize with, cancer patients that are trying to rebuild their lives. But I talk to more than that. I talk to lots of other people because of that. And we try to get them, on a course that they can rebuild their emotional health, their physical health, a little bit on their financial health if they need it, but a lot of it, and also in relationship. And so we focus on those 4 areas and we break those down. And sometimes it's baby steps, sometimes it's 2 steps backwards to go 2 steps forward. And we just do weekly sessions on Zoom that can help them move forward. And we track the progress, and we hold them accountable. Okay, because that's the only thing that you can do, is to do that. And we also, listen, I am not a paid therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm just someone who's been through the war.
Important.
And try to help someone else get through the war 2 times.
Extremely powerful. I've taken notes, these 4 areas of life, and I'm guessing one is a big one: finances. When people are falling out of work or not able to run their business, like how can you help them? Did you get funds? Did you get loans in place? Like, what is the trick?
So you answered the question a little bit. So there are places that you can do to get financial assistance. There are foundations, there are government programs if you're a veteran, there are work programs, there are nonprofit programs, and there are also fundraisers. Okay, there's lots of sites out there, one here in the US and maybe international, it's called GoFundMe. And then you GoFundMe. I started about 4 or 5 GoFundMes for folks, and have them raise some dollars that way. And so there are ways to help, to get the funds and to just get head above water. Now, some people are talking about returning to the workforce. Some people work straight through cancer. I applaud them. Great. It's okay if you can. Beautiful. And so there are government assistance programs. So we talk through those options and see what is right for them. Absolutely.
And tell me, what is the next thing that you want to celebrate in 5 years' time? I mean, you've been through so much. What is driving you? What is inspiring you now?
So the fact that I wrote a book, I'm a least likely author. The last chapter in the book is about hope. Okay. Hope is the fuel. Hope is the energy that actually gets you back up again. And you have to rebuild it like a muscle. You have to rebuild your hope. And so I've got a whole bunch of projects going on. I've got classes being developed. I've got 3 sub books on survivorship, mentorship, and interfaith happening. And I have a joint book that's going to launch in the spring called Cancer Inspiration. I want cancer patients to tell them quickly what their story is. And if they learned, just like you're doing with Heroes, what did they learn? What goodness came from this? Did any goodness come from this? And I'm going to put a compilation book called Cancer Inspiration together to share people's stories. It'll be, I think by telling your story, it helps you heal. It's holistic. And it was holistic for me too.
I love it. We just launched here in Australia, or a friend of mine launched, he calls it Kintsugi Heroes. And this thing is, probably I will be able to refer you, but it's really about how lives broken to pieces And it's a Japanese analogy when that, vase or whatever it is built together and glued. They, in Japan, it has more value than one that has not been broken
Sure.
because
That's a
of,
beautiful analogy. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
use the nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty. So Humpty Dumpty being rebuilt 2.0, Humpty Dumpty falls off the wall. Can you rebuild them? All the king's men, all the king's horses. Can you put them back together again? Same thing, right? Same analogy, equivalent of the Japanese vase is Humpty Dumpty being put back together.
Mm. So what is the next thing? Like in 5 years' time, where do you see yourself? Where is this going for you? If everything is according to your plans and you make an impact.
So I hope, as I always say, we put on when it's too shining so brightly, you got to wear shades, right? And so for your listeners or viewers, I'm wearing my sunglasses, the shining brightly sunglasses. So I hope to keep speaking and changing lives and getting more people screened and being a more global influence to motivate, educate, and inspire for goodness. Okay. And that is my calling now. It's going to be my life's work, and that's where I see myself going and building further and further as we go forward and as I live a healthy life.
Powerful. So I'm wondering if anyone sees your video, would you be able to give away maybe 3, 4 things that maybe when they find out that there is, there's been some tests done, and then they realize they may have cancer, or maybe they've already got a confirmation from a doctor. Like, what would be those tricks and tips then to not collapse?
Right. That's the one where I actually tell you not to do Dr. Google, because Dr. Google can tell you some misinformation or bad news. But the first thing is that you need to be able to look into yourself and say that it may be very dark right now, but you're going to have to pull yourself together. And so here's what I say to someone. Number one, be selfish. This is the time when you get a diagnosis or some bad news to focus inward. That's the first thing, selfishness. Okay, let people offer and do nice things for you. Okay, let people buy you groceries, buy you a meal, buy you a shake, take you to the doctor, pick up your kids. That's the first thing. So number one is be selfish. Number two, let others help you. Get a caregiver, get a nurse navigator, get a social worker. Let someone get one for you. So take the help. Don't go at it alone. Okay. Number three is that you have to be able to understand, okay, that it's a team sport and you want to be collaborative. So seek out the advocacy groups online. There are other people like you, okay, that you can get support from. So I use one called Man Up to Cancer, and it's a great support group for men with cancer because men don't want to share. Men, they're too macho, but they don't know how to talk to their kid. Their girlfriend broke up with them. You need support, and so go get that support. Okay, do not be so kind of bullish that you would have to take care of it yourself. And then lastly, if you can, hydrate and get exercise and change your nutrition a little bit. Okay, hydration is really the key. Okay, and so you may have to change your diet, maybe not, but I think that's important. So that's the third one. And then the last one is that when you can, do something nice for others. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like a whole person. So those 4 things would be, the really things. So repeat, it's going to be selfish. The other one is to take help, right? The other one is to seek advocacy groups and support. And the third is to see if you can help others. Those, if you follow that, you just got a coaching in a minute. You got your coaching, laser coaching right there.
Yeah, you might need to rewind this video because I think this is a wonderful example how to almost restore self-worth when things are not going well. Help someone else, help yourself, accept help, get a team. And it applies to almost every area of life, right?
It does.
To get new results.
It does, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
did you see the difference between how men and women handle this kind of situation? Because as you said, men are, I can handle it on my own. If I ask for help, that's a sign of weakness. That's what I see happening through my coaching. How do you see as far as cancer patients?
I want to tell you that I live in the stage 4 cancer world. It is a dark place. We live in death. Multiple times a week, we lose someone that just wanted to live one more day. So you don't take things for granted. I don't distinguish really between the men and the women fight, because they're all just trying to extend their lives. And unfortunately, it will call you when God will call you. I've met some of the most incredible, and I'm going to take it from the heroes, that, are during cancer, climbed a mountain, raised $1 million for a cause, done some amazing things, truly incredible people, helped others so well. So I've met so many heroes, and the caregivers are the biggest heroes. It's a thankless job, The infusion nurses, thankless job. You're putting poison in people to try to save their lives every single day. I have seen just the core goodness in people at the darkest of times. And for that, I've learned, and I learned to appreciate that. Humans are incredible. Now, listen, are there the dark humans and the bad stuff and shootings at schools and wars in the Ukraine and lots of crazy stuff happening? Absolutely. That's where the mental toughness comes in. You can't dig yourself like an ostrich and put your head in the sand. You can acknowledge it, just don't live with it very long. Don't get involved with it. And I see goodness every day, and I feel grateful for that.
Very powerful.
Yeah, I want to mention one other thing that's sort of, it's a key, and I think that everyone needs to find a happy place. All right, it's kind of out of like a rhyme. And my happy place where I find no stress happens to be on the basketball court. Other people's happy place can be cooking, travel, yoga, hiking, biking. I don't care what it is. It can be playing the violin, piano. Go there as much as you can, because that helps. That again is holistic. That again helps you. And the physical part for me helps me. It gets those endorphins, it gets the sweat, it gets the chemo out of me. So I have a chapter based on my happy place on the basketball court in my book. So go find yours.
Now, just one thing came to mind, and you mentioned passion, or have that place that you love, or an activity that you love. I've heard before laughter kind of therapy, like through happiness. Did you see results from, I don't know, I've heard from people, they were watching comedies and then somehow they were able to heal illnesses. Have you come across this?
I've heard of that, but I think it takes a little bit more than that. I think laughter is a component, sure. If that's making you feel good, sure. But for me, it has to be the hydration, the physical part, the mental toughness, and building that up to it. It has to be a combination of all those, not just laughter. Laughter, I don't think is going to be on its own. But is it good for the moment? Is it good? Absolutely, sure. It can, if it takes you out of that dark spot, go watch the funniest movies or comedians you can. Sure, I'm supportive of that.
I was wondering, have you got a favorite movie or two that you would share with your audience, like people who are in a hard place in their life?
Sure. So I happen to like the new Top Gun that came out after all those years,
Yeah.
but that's a good one. But I'm old school. I like movies like Caddyshack and Stripes and, Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, those types of movies. Those are the ones that I like.
Because one came to mind when you were talking through, and I said, well, maybe, that film that there's that, I think it's called The Bucket List.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think, that has a very powerful message in it to really seize the day and do the best possible outcome with wherever you are with cancer, and then hope for the best. Would that be a metaphor for a lot of people out there?
Oh, you're spot on. Oh, Andre, you're spot on. I have to tell you, I just got a Facebook post the other day about a stage 4 cancer patient, a woman and her husband and their child down at Disney World, and they were on the teacups ride. And she said, in my initials, HB Howard Brown, HB, look at me. And I was like making memories. It was just beautiful that she actually got to go there and do that and feeling okay enough to go do that. And they canceled a couple times because of COVID, but they just went. Oh my God, did that make my day? That's a bucket list. That's great. So you're spot on.
And what would you say, has COVID as such, has that affected cancer and COVID? Do you want anything that you would want to share around these last few years, and how has it affected maybe cancer patients, or what is the back and forth of these two happening?
Yeah, so first of all, cancer patients and just patients in general, everybody's care clock got thrown off. You weren't exactly free to, as a cancer patient or immune suppressed, want to walk into a hospital that's treating COVID patients. So care got thrown back, but something good came out. Telemedicine came about much faster. Telemedicine came out, and but people have to get their calendars back on track, their diaries back on track to get their screens and their doctor's appointments back on track. The second thing is that COVID patients felt a little bit like a cancer patient. They were restricted. You had to wear a mask. You maybe had to stay in. You were quarantined, and you didn't have that. And again, we also lost a lot of lives to COVID. We lost a lot of people to COVID. COVID's still here, and people got it very severely. Some got it mildly, but we learned quickly on this pandemic what living life in restriction. Cancer patients live life in restriction every day.
What an insight. Wow. So where can people find you if they want to get in touch, they want to follow your content or whatever you do? Tell us, where is
the number one spot is shiningbrightly.com, my website. But if they want to find me on LinkedIn or on Facebook or a little bit on Instagram, they can. I'm very interactive. I respond back to everyone as much as I can. And if you want to talk to me about coaching sessions, you want to talk to me about speaking, I'm available. This is what I do. This is what I want to do. So please do. Welcome your audience in your inquiries and conversations and all that. And the book's available if that can help you too.
And are the books available on your website, or is there anywhere else where people can pick it up from?
So people can contact me directly if they're, for group orders or for my publisher. But if they want to just buy a book, you can buy it on Amazon and it ships to you, or Barnes and Noble, or wherever you buy books. It is not in the local bookstore, the local airport. Those are hard things to get a new book into. But Amazon, you click Amazon, Australia, Amazon, UK. It's there. It comes up, Shining Brightly comes up number 1, and I come up number 1, and you can find it. And it's in hard copy, paperback, and in Kindle version, so electronic.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to share, or maybe if there's any giveaway that people can grab when they want to?
So I'm going to put up, we'll put up a link. They can grab the discussion guides for survivorship through life and cancer, mentorship, and interfaith. Why bother, talking to someone who's different, not like me. Those are all available. Those are PDF downloads. I'd be glad to share those and share the link with everybody. And they're great tools to get the discussion started. So I'd be glad to offer those.
Thanks for the Howard. We will put that link under the video so people can really click and follow whatever you're able to, give away. Is there anything else, another golden nugget before we finish, to maybe point out 2-3 things that
last things
people need to know?
Yes, need to know. So one, they need to know that even when they get knocked down to their core, they can get back up. That's the major theme. I got knocked down to my core from cancer twice, but I've been knocked down in other ways. We all have. And so I am living proof that you can get back up again. The second thing is that don't take life for granted or too seriously. So one is that go hug go call your mom and say, I love you. Go hug your kids, because our life is short and it's precious. Really, it really is. And then the last thing is that lead with kindness. Go be kind to someone else. Be kind to yourself first and be, but then go be kind to someone. Open the door for someone, buy someone else a cup of coffee, a complete stranger. I mean, those are the three things that I would say that are great nuggets to leave with.
Howard, it was a special time with you. I really loved connecting and have this deep conversation about the hard times that some and a lot of people will face or have already faced, and to really come through, with a better chance to live life on purpose, heart-based. I loved this conversation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me, and I will share that with my my audience as well on all the social channels and my publisher, and we can get this word out. I think this is really going to help people.
It's very important to have your word out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre. Glad to be a hero.